1, 2. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Sound good. Now you gotta keep going. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da. Hey, well, I'm the friendly stranger in the black sedan. I want you to hop inside my car. I got pictures, candy, I'm a lovable man, and I can take you to the nearest star. I'm your vehicle, baby. Take you anywhere you wanna go. I'm your vehicle, woman. By now I'm sure you know that I love ya, need ya, want you, got to have your child. Great God in heaven, you know I love you.
The music of Jim Peterik has been shaping the rock and roll landscape for over 5 decades now. As a singer, songwriter, and musician, he's had a hand in crafting 18 top 10 hits, including 3 number ones, Vehicle, The Search Is Over, and of course, Eye of the Tiger. We're very excited today to be with the friendly stranger in the black sedan. We're going to talk about all those songs, the stories behind them as told in Through the Eye of the Tiger, Jim Peterik's brand new book. Jim, welcome to Psychobabble.
Good seeing you.
Good
Mike.
to see you. Let's delve into the book. This is a great book. One of the books, a very readable rock and roll biography. It's amazing. A life full of landmark moments. And one of the first landmark moments, incredible to me, you had a hit record when you were still in high school with You Wouldn't Listen. You were 16 years old?
15.
15.
Yeah.
And you've got a hit record.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah. We just were pinching ourselves. We didn't even know how cool that was. We auditioned for Mercury Records, and it was on my birthday. It was on my 15th birthday. We had an all-nighter, and on that all-nighter, we wrote the song that we auditioned with. And Dutch Winslow from Mercury Records, he absolutely flipped out. And Dutch says, "Well, if you add a modulation to that, you got a #1 record." And we go, "Yeah. What's a modulation?"
Right.
Yeah, which was hilarious.
Well, things changed drastically for you guys a few years later with Vehicle. It was 1969 when you wrote that. Were you 19 when you
I was 18 when I
18.
started writing it. I finished it in late 69, at which I would have been 19 by that time. It became the fastest breaking single in Warner Bros. History.
Wow.
Our management took it to Art Roberts. Art Roberts says, if you add answers, love you, need you, if you add answers, it's the #1 record. We went back in the studio, added those answers, which was tough because all the tracks were taken.
Okay.
So they had a wild track it, as they called it, onto a 2-track machine. So the stereo version and the mono versions, there's 2 different versions with different background vocals because each time we had to do it separate.
Well, and the Ides, again, another sidetrack. You guys got a chance to open for Led Zeppelin, and you got the opportunity to party with Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And kind of passed on that opportunity?
Well, we opened the door. I mean, Robert Plant opened the door, and he was in his little bikini briefs, and we look past, and we see the naked groupies doing a pillow fight, drugs being ingested, booze. Jimmy Page is in the bathtub, given a new name to water sports, and we said, Larry, we're out of here, and we thanked Robert Plant, and we went out and we went across the street to Dunkin' Donuts. And we had our Dunkin' Donuts and milk.
Yeah.
And that's Berwyn.
No heroin clears for him. That's great.
Exactly.
Well, the Ides, what a great bunch of guys. But at some point, you decided you wanted to do the singer-songwriter thing and went solo for a few years, made a great album. And then you got this inspiration somewhere in the 70s to form a supergroup, which eventually became Survivor. Now, this is kind of a matter of be careful what you wish for. Because Survivor, while a fantastic group and a hit-making machine, was not the band of brothers that Ides of March were. And there was a lot of ego problems, drug problems, infighting. I mean, in the book, you read about it, you go, oh, I'm so glad I wasn't in that band, I mean, God bless you for enduring it, but it was work.
It really was tough. And I knew the ends would justify the means, and that's why I stuck with it. Mm-hmm. For all the discrepancies I had with mainly Frankie, mm-hmm. I knew that when we were together, when we were writing together, when we were on stage, when we were making records, the records were great.
Right.
There's always that dichotomy, it seems, in certain bands like the Stones with Keith and Mick and John Lennon and Paul McCartney. I'm not putting us in that class necessarily, but um, what Frankie did was define, first of all, how I didn't want to be in certain ways, but also he kept me on the straight and narrow as far as what the brand is of Survivor. And if we were writing and I started getting a little too jazzy or esoteric, yeah, hey, PETERIK, change that chord. And whether I agreed with it at the time, later on I go, okay, he's right. For this brand, he's right.
Yeah.
Or if a lyric got too flowery, he kept me on the straight and narrow. He was not really a strong songwriter, but he knew what Survivor should be.
Okay.
And I give him a lot of credit for that. I'm always writing through other people's voices. When I found Jimmy Jamison, when he auditioned that day, I knew that I had found perhaps the finest singer I'd ever worked with.
Incredible Jimmy, who just recently passed away, and you did a very nice tribute to him.
Thank you.
We loved you then, we loved you still. Your voice will ring, it always will. You'll live in memory till we meet again. Above the sky, beyond the sea, you'll see our team of destiny cheering us from their balcony, from the streets of heaven.
His voice will ring forever, and that's the new verse I wrote for the song. He's in our hearts. Fergie Frederickson, same thing. Just two passings in a very short amount of time. Very tragic.
Yeah. Well, going back to that kitchen counter where so much magic was made, it was in 82 when you got a call on your answering machine from Mr. Stallone? Hey, you didn't know Sylvester Stallone.
I only knew him as Karen and I were huge fans of the first Rocky.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was already in my mind, and I don't say this in the book, I just remember, I wrote a song right after we saw Rocky 1 called Go the Distance.
Okay.
And no one ever heard it. And that's how much I was into this.
Yeah.
This is how ready I was for coming home in early '82, and I hear on my answering machine, "Hey, yo, Jim, give me a call. It's Sylvester Stallone. That's a nice answering machine you got there." And that's funny because answering machines were kind of new.
Right.
So he was like, "Hey, that's a nice machine you got there," and I'm going, "Yeah, right, whatever, right." That's not him, right? He would have a secretary, an agent, right? So I'm calling Sal, my road manager. Is that you? What? No, it's not him. So Karen says, you better call him back, So I call the number and I go, this is Jim PETERIK. Is this Sylvester Stallone? He goes, yo, call me Sly. So here's kid from Berwyn talking to Sly, right? I said, hi, Sly. How you doing? And he goes, I like your band. I love that song, Poor Man's Son. Tony Scotti played it for me, and I want that sound from my new movie. I don't want that Gonna Fly Now song. That's old school, I want something with a pulse, something for the kids. Can you help me out? Sure. No problem, And he said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to send you the first 3.5 minutes of the movie. It's the montage. And that's what I want you to write to. So, I went out and for a lot of money, rented this Betamax, professional Betamax. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's like a microwave oven,
Yeah.
And put it on the kitchen counter. FedEx came. I called Frankie over, put it in, and we go, man, this is really good. And we see Mr. T, the mohawk,
Right.
rising up and just looking fierce. And we see Rocky doing a MasterCard commercial, getting kind of soft, And I had my Les Paul around my neck, and I just started going, digga, 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 digga.
So you're watching the movie.
So I'm watching the
Playing
movie.
along.
We turned the sound down, and I'll tell you why. This is interesting. Because they had what they call temporary music on underneath that scene. The temporary music was Another One Bites the Dust
Oh,
by
okay.
Queen.
Yeah.
And it worked so good.
Oh.
And I called Stallone, I go, you got your song, no offense. Why aren't you using that one? I couldn't get the publishing rights. Okay,
Right.
great. Thank you, Freddie Mercury. You made my life. So we turned down the sound, and I remember saying to Frank, how are we ever going to beat this one?
Yeah.
And I said, well, we got to try. So that's when I started going digga, 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 digga. And so the punches being thrown, I just went bap, bam, 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 A minor, G, A minor, A, F, A, you know. And I said, okay, this is cool. We got the intro.
Right.
Now what? You know, now what? So we call Stallone again. Hey, you got to send us the whole movie. And he goes, I can't do it. The movie company, no, you've got to. Okay, you got to promise me. You got to send it right back, you know. So the next day, FedEx comes, put it in, and Frankie came over again. That's when it all made sense. That's when the story
That's
made
when
sense.
lyrically it came together?
Well, yeah, because Burgess Meredith's character is going to rock you, losing the eye of the tiger. Eye of the tiger. Bingo.
Nice.
And it's really, I mean, I have to thank Stallone because he supplied us with that title and the whole story and never asked for a penny in terms of songwriting or publishing.
Okay.
And I thanked him. I hugged him about 4 years ago when I saw him. And I said, thank you, number one, for giving an unknown band a chance at the title. And two, for not asking for publishing. Oh, no, I'm not a songwriter. You know, you guys did it. You know, and that's him.
That's awesome. Well, fast forward to today, back with the Ides of March, doing a lot of shows.
We've got our Christmas show, the Ides of March Christmas show, at the Arcada Theater in St. Charles.
Beautiful theater.
Beautiful theater, old-fashioned,
Yeah.
great sound.
Not a bad seat in the house.
Not a bad seat in the house. It's the 13th of December, and it's always a warm and fuzzy. You know, we do a lot of our own Christmas songs as well as standards, and redone in Ides of March, you know, harmony style. And then I've got a world stage coming up, January 24th.
World Stage is something you put together.
Ah.
It's an annual event featuring some of the artists that you collaborated with throughout your life,
Exactly.
including Lisa McClowry.
Yep.
Up until recent, the late Jimmy Jameson.
Yes.
Who else?
Staples would be Kelly Kagi, Night Ranger, Jack Blades. Let's see. Oh well, Don Barnes, Jimmy Jameson, God rest his soul, Toby Hitchcock. Kevin Cronin was on my very first two. I love Kevin. He was nice enough to write the foreword of the book.
Very nice.
They're always love fests. This in January, it's going to be Rick Emmett of Triumph.
Very nice.
It's so good. It's going to be Mike Reno of Loverboy.
Loverboy.
It's going to be Bobby Kimball of Toto.
Okay.
First time I've had him.
Nice.
Anthony Gomes is an evergreen, the Ides of March. God, it's just a great show. And my son is one of the backup singers,
Oh, cool.
and Colin Peterick.
Nice.
So it's going to be just a terrific show. And that's going to be at North Central College in Naperville.
Naperville. Okay.
And it's just a wonderful hall called Wentz Theater.
Okay.
What else you guys cooking up over there?
We should mention that Jim is currently doing a slew of book signings. You can find out about those at jimpeterick.com. Also, you can find him on Facebook. Are you Twittering?
I am. You can
Well, we'll call a doctor. Come on. No,
I'm Twittering through the Facebook, right?
okay. Okay.
Okay.
Go to jimpeterick.com for all your Jim Peterick
Needs.
And the Ides are
Yeah.
still hitting it hard. Catch the Ides, catch Pride of Lions, catch Life Force, catch the World Stage. Jim Peterick, he rocks.
Got to love ya, I need ya, I want ya, got to have your child.
Great God in heaven, you know I love you. Hey everybody, this is Jim Peterick, and you're watching Psychobabble.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-da.